Welcome back to another episode of Kicking It with Coach Red, where we bring you all the news, stories, takes, and opinions about your favorite teams from the Pacific North. Fresh from the good to the bad to the Mariners.
Your spiraling Mariners, baby. Second place,
You
Mariners.
know, like a month ago, just so happy and
So
just
happy.
feeling so bad right now. It makes me a little emotional. Are you a little emotional about this? Got some,
Yeah,
are you emoting?
I think the emotion that I'm displaying more is anger
Oh,
in
it's
this whole
still an emotion.
situation.
Sometimes
You
you
know,
gotta be a little bit emo. But before we dive into that, why don't I tell you a little bit about us? If you're looking for a guy who's a little bit my chemical romance, when I was a young boy, my dad took me to the Mariners. He said, "Son, when you grow up, will you be the savior of the broken, the beaten, and the damned?" And that's the Mariners fans right now. If you're looking for a guy like that, you're looking for a guy like me, your boy, Coach Red.
it's a
You can
good one.
find me on X at the real Coach Red, on Instagram at the real underscore Coach Red, TikTok at the real Coach Red. Also find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, and leave a comment or dose. Someone else is a little bit emotional too, maybe a little bit evanescence, a little bit more angry because he's so sick, infected with this fandom of his.
Yeah,
He's so sick,
that's true. That's true.
so sick.
Good
And
job on
that's
the
Kane.
intros. Good job on the intros today. Those are pretty good. Those are pretty good. Yeah, I'm Kane. You can find me over on Twitter, Kane2406, over on TikTok, Kane0624. Also, follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Pause. Do it, freaking do it.
I'm glad that you like the intros because that is going to be the most prepared thing for this episode.
All
If
right.
you're a first time listener, usually we break down the games that were and do a pick to click and then have something fun at the end. So let's go ahead and break this down real quick. The Mariners from our last recording session had 7 games against the Angels, 3 against the Astros, and they won 2 of them.
Yep.
There we go.
They were
Broke it down.
1-9, I believe.
No, they won 2 of them.
No, 2 and
They won one.
7.
They won the first game against the Angels, and then they won the last game against the Astros.
Okay. Perfect. Yeah, they were really bad. Really bad.
And
Injuries are piling up.
yeah,
That's not fun.
why don't we get to the picks to click? Kane was trailing by 1, but guess what? He's an automatic winner because his pick to click is still on the team, and my pick to click was DFA'd. Let's just before we get into the new picks to click, let's just talk a little bit about Ty France and just how unfortunate a lot of these nagging injuries got to be. And part of it was the him getting plunked Mariners career record time because he was starting
90.
to heat up when he took that ball off the heel. And since he came back, he just wasn't the same. And he had the All-Star year where then he gets hit in the wrist. It happens a few times for him with runners coming down the first baseline, and his glove had diminished. His
It just seems like his awareness when the ball's in play on where to be too has kind of receded because there are a lot of times. I mean, there have been a lot of plays where I've seen Ty France be in a shift and no one be on first base, and he's broken to second when our second baseman's literally right there.
yeah, it's frustrating, but I'll still remember the good times, like when he was
Oh,
mashing against the Royals, basically won a game on his own, had double homer, like 7 RBIs, and his ability to hit when he was on. Some of the plays he made at first base when he first made the transition over there, I thought we were going to have back to back Gold Glove winners between him and Evan White the year prior, but it just sucks that he could never really get that footing. And the crazy thing is, when he was DFA'd, he probably had like the 4th highest batting average on the team.
that's
But
true.
started off higher and started to decline. But Ty France is always going to have a special place because that's the thing about Mariners when you look back at them, even during the bad times. obviously you remember the good times, but you can look back and find those players that just kind of had a little soft spot for you, even during the really bad times. Shoot, dude, I was kind of a sucker for Denard Span back in the day for that
Dude,
little bit. You can name all these guys.
one of my favorite guys that just never panned out was Goody, right? Franklin
He
Gutierrez
was
was
injury
so
struck.
good when he was there.
He couldn't
But
hit very well, but the defense was crazy. He was the original no-fly zone.
yeah, and there's just like, I mean, rookie Dustin Ackley, you go back to him and what he could have been if he just would have been right. But it is unfortunate because Ty has been an inaugural piece in this lineup for the last 5 years. And
This is a shout out real quick since we're talking about first baseman. I don't want to forget this. Well, this one's for you, Kiwi. Young Brian LaHare.
um, it is unfortunate. And because your guy got DFA'd, he also didn't do a whole lot. I went pick to click this week. Cal Raleigh, all he did was hit home runs from both sides of the plate again.
Yep. Whoop de frickin' do.
Yeah.
No, it's been rough. I mean, you we had the All-Star game break in between there. Logan obviously pitches the last game before, doesn't get the win even though he pitches his tail off. Munoz gets subbed in for him. And Munoz had some better numbers than some of these guys. And I think the national guy did it the right way, especially with the guys that especially pitchers that hadn't got in. He was having them throw an out or something like that. Now the American League.
Nope. No, that was
Bruce Bochy was
that.
just like, you get your inning and that's it.
I'm giving the AL manager was like, all right, Kirby Yates in the eighth. I'm throwing my own guy.
Granted, he made like I'm not super concerned that Munoz didn't get to pitch being a late replacement, but based on the pure numbers, he should have been able to throw one out in that game.
Yeah,
I think that's the
exactly.
thing, especially with pitchers. You're not trying like obviously your starter types, you're going to get them in early, but when it comes to relievers, let them all throw. You aren't playing extra innings. You know how many guys you got. Let them throw, baby.
Yeah,
And
it's
that's
electric.
nitpicking. That's nitpicking.
It just goes, the best of the best going against giving it their all. And that's what kind of the All-Star game has turned into the last couple of years. I really like it. They
Yeah,
have been playing hard.
it's been
Like
more
pitchers,
competitive for sure.
like Paul Skeens starting, beautiful move. Beautiful. Paul Skeens is amazing.
You want to know one of the best things and also one of the dumbest things that I heard on a Mariners broadcast that involved Paul Skeens, and it was from I hate to do this since he liked one of my tweets, but Dave Sims, what a knucklehead. He's like, oh man, so if everything just still lines out, August 11th, we should see Paul Skeens. That'll be great to watch. Yeah, if we want to watch a team get struck out 27 times in a game,
Yeah,
I don't want to see
exactly.
that. I want to
Yeah.
see, you want to know who I don't want to see? Paul Skeens. We can't even hit Dunning.
Uh, we
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 can't
could
hit anybody.
we can't hit Griffin Canning outside of Mitch Haniger.
Yeah. Welcome back, Mitch. One
Yeah.
hit, baby. One hit wonder. Okay, so let's go into our new picks to click for this week. I'm going to throw a caveat because in one single day, you had Ty France DFA, Julio with the high ankle sprain, who's gonna test it again in 10 days. Probably not looking good. You got JP with a broken pinky, who also had to go on IL. He's
Four to
probably
six
out
weeks.
4 to 6 weeks. So, oh boy, is it going to be fun. And I think that I shot you a text when this whole thing happened and saw that lineup that came out yesterday. It's like, it might just be crazy enough to win. It wasn't,
No.
but
No. Speaking of all this beviness and trade deadline coming up, I saw something like somebody quote tweeted an article, and it's a big YouTuber. Shout out Giraffe Neck Mark. He said, Bo Bichette, you are a Mariner. So
dude, Bo
maybe.
Bichette's numbers haven't been there, and I don't think he's going to get fixed
All
coming over
right,
here.
yeah, but gotta do something. But picks to click. All right. We got a whole new bevy of selections.
You got a wide variety of ways you can go here. You could pick for hitting Jorge Polanco, perchance. You could if you
I
wanted
could,
to. I
but
wouldn't.
Yeah, no,
Actually, I
oh,
will say he's kind of picked it up a little bit. So
right. And
in
I
this
do
last
have
stretch,
some things to talk about management here in a minute, probably after this. Um, but all right, pick to click. I think this week I'm gonna take the young buck Tyler Locklear. Dude has been lacing the ball, just been unfortunate in his last couple plate appearances. Just hitting him right to the guys,
the
especially
double play
today.
on that he grounded into bases are juice, no outs. He smokes one. Rengifo like slides into third basically to get it, and it's just right on the bag with his foot.
Yeah,
Pops up, and you get Polanco at the plate where it's like you that was the moment to bust it open, and it just didn't happen.
yeah, and he smoked it. He did. It was 100 miles an hour. Dude just made a phenomenal play. I like what I see from him when he does make contact. The ball flies off his bat. This team is struggling. He's trying his best. He's been destroying the ball down in AAA, and let's hope that he can fix it with the big league. Everett's not too far from where they're playing, so hopefully it translates. Who do you got this week?
It's just so tough because there's just so many guys that I'm not sure how much playing time they're going to get. I really do think that they're going to just keep doing things and try to ride things until they get hot. I think that Victor Robles, even though he has been hotter, is probably going to cool just a little bit. We can't afford him to. He's going to start in center field. But God, if there's some sun at T-Mobile, that guy is
It's fun.
whew, circus.
Question: do you think Leo Rivas gets any playing time with this stint in the bigs?
Well, I mean, he did get 2 games his last month in the bigs.
He actually has been also playing very well down in Tacoma.
Well, and that's the thing is all these guys have. You have Jason Olson
Bossler.
that it was leading the PCL in RBIs. You've seen a little bit of a decrease in strikeouts from Tyler Locklear. Cade Marlowe, although he's running a high strikeout rate, he's putting the ball out of the park. He has a boatload of steals. The guy plays great defense in the outfield. I was kind of shocked today after he got a single and hit a couple of balls hard, had a ground into a double play RBI in his game last night, and then he's riding pine today. So I'm going to go with Victor Robles because I know he's
I
going to
like
get the
it.
play time right now.
I
I have to
like
go with
it.
him just because of opportunity. I could go with the safer bet, which would be Cal Raleigh, but
Or Polanco, because he, as you said, he has been heating up. His at bats are
every time
looking better. I know.
what you do to Julio, I do to Polanco. So
Fair enough.
I can't put that evil on him, Ricky Bobby.
Fair enough. Fair enough. I like the pick though. Victor Robles is growing on me.
He's
Just
a
the
menace.
vibes.
He's had like 6 steals in his last 8 games.
He really is this season's like good vibes guy.
Well, if you look at years past, so if you really look at last year, who was your pesky good guy? Wasn't playing every day, but was kind of pesky good. Who was it?
Like,
I want you to tell me.
I mean, Jose Caballero was a kind of a menace.
For a while,
Um, Demo didn't play really last year. Haggerty didn't play. Julio had the crazy month. Cal, Teoscar both did well. Sneaky good guy. It wasn't Ty France. Wasn't Eugenio Suarez. Definitely sure as shit wasn't Pollock or the other guy, Colton Wong.
Colton Wong wasn't them. Last year
Uh
was kind of the anomaly. That was a trick question. But the year before that, you had Sam Haggerty that got super hot during the
in
stretch and was kind
September.
of catalyst. The year before that, you was kind of the emergence of Ty France during that year, and then you've got the COVID shortened year, which Demo absolutely rocketed. Where those guys aren't pillars of your team, but if they can play hot enough in stretches, and that's kind of my biggest thing right now is every time that Julio has started to gain some traction, little nagging injury, little injury here, little injury there. Every time he's starting to get hot and
It's been
collides
put
into the
together
wall.
super good at bats. I
Yeah.
mean, it's been such a devastation
And
last month.
JP missing early time, about a month, and now missing about another month. This is not going to be the best thing for him. So you've had the stretch where Rojas was white hot. You had the stretch where Rayleigh was burning bright. You had the stretch where Haniger's been going. But no one's really had sustained success. You can't even say that about Cal Raleigh. Yes, he has had his clutch moments, but no one on this team, especially in the last couple of weeks, the closest guy to being hot is Robles. But Robles doesn't necessarily give you that power, that pop. And when he was doing that, was at the bottom of the lineup, and the guys in front of him weren't getting. Granted, a lot of these guys aren't getting on, but things I
Mm-hmm.
like to see is Bossler yesterday rockets a double into the corner. K Marlowe puts Goodwood on there. These guys are hungry for their chance, and let's go right into your thing. Go ahead and
All
talk
right,
about the management.
dude. The amount of like big traction Twitter guys that we interact with are calling for Scott Service to not be on that plane going to Chicago.
I
His
almost got my Scott
lineups,
Service ass tat last week.
his
It's that bad.
lineups are still sorry for cussing. Dog shit. Doesn't matter where he puts anybody. It's bad. It is very, very bad.
Is there another hitting coach that we could fire to get a little spark of offense?
I don't know, dude. Like the way that the way he manages games, keeps throwing Stanek out there. I mean, like blowing saves left and right. Your pitchers give you 7 heckin' innings, and yeah, I was gonna drop the F bomb, but we only
Thanks for
get
not.
yeah, so I didn't. Um, when you have him on multiple accounts on the road, at home, blowing saves, don't throw him out there in high critical situations. My God, what are we doing?
I'm going. I'm going to defend Scott here.
You know what? You do your best.
Welcome to Kicking It with Coach Red. I was also a coach, so I can talk to you a little bit about the mindset.
I'm aware.
With Scott Service, he lives and dies by his sword, especially with his leverage guys. You got to earn that time into those leverage spots.
I
And
get it.
Stanek has done that. He's hicked up. He's had a few hiccups lately. But some of the other guys that you've been looking at the high leverage situations that have panned out, Gregory Santos can't throw back-to-back days. Guess what? He gave up the runs today. Colin Snyder had been good since coming back up. He's had his hiccups a little bit over the last couple of weeks. Austin Both was lights out for 3 weeks, and then giving up game-winning walk-off hits. So the only consistent guy really has been Munoz. And
Yeah.
you're sitting there playing musical chairs, right? You've got these guys. Yes, your starters are getting deep. But when you also look at it, Scott's not out there throwing the ball. He's not out there pitching.
Mm-hmm.
He's the guy that he's trying to shake things up with the offense. What else are you going to do? Just run out the same lineup and hope for something different? He's at least trying something. If they were out making errors galore, then yeah, you could take that as a lack of preparedness on the field, because that's something I think that he can control a little bit. If you're not mentally prepared and you're not running guys out like, hey, you didn't run out of ball, you're getting benched. You booted the ball, that's a routine play. Go take a seat, son. Like, that's not happening. And the
No.
thing is that Scott's always been known as a player's first coach, a guy that gets it. He's been through this. He's done it as a manager, he's done it as a player. So
Right.
I think the tough thing is he is going to be the scapegoat. This is the thing where I don't think that all of the conspiracy theories about the marine layer and all of this are all 100% true, because they're not hitting that well on the road. But a buddy of
And
mine sent me like
hitters
StatCast,
hit in
like
T-Mobile all the
lowest
time.
exit velos at a stadium, and it's T-Mobile. Yeah, because the Mariners suck at hitting
Yeah,
this year,
and
and no one's caught fire. Like Ty France, is not the best power hitter. Where did Ty France hit all his home runs last year? T-Mobile
T-Mobile
Park.
Park.
Where does Mitch Haniger hit home runs? T-Mobile Park. Where can Julio put him out of the yard? T-Mobile Park. Where did Eugenio Suarez do it? T-Mobile Park. Where's JP done it? T-Mobile Park. Like, it can happen. Like, I just want to see more base hits. I don't want to
Yeah,
see strikeout, walk, or home run. I want to see singles and doubles. Shit, throw in a triple for good measure. Those are fun. And we've
yeah,
got guys on this team that can do that. Demo's a triple threat. He did it against the Astros and really kind of sparked that game to a win. You've got Cade Marlowe that's got speed to burn. Clase's
Jonathan
still on this team.
Clase.
Like, these guys can move.
Leo
Let's
Rivas is
like
fast too.
get weird. You looked at Victor Robles, Rivas, Luke Rayleigh. Change the formula. When you get guys on, I want you stealing more. They're
Yeah,
very successful when they steal. Do it more, bunt more, do something different. Try to spark it a different way, because what's going on right now is not happening. And I think a lot of that burden is on the players and the starting staff. Kudos to them. They have been lights out. They have been phenomenal.
yeah,
Phenomenal.
yeah.
But when you're sitting there, your offense isn't scoring runs. Even the low pressure guys in your bullpen have high pressure on them. This is a 1-run game right now. All these other guys thrown. I got to get out there. I got to get this out. You're trying to be too fine. Your hitters, okay, big clutch spot. You're tensing up. It's so tough because there's no way to get out of it until you get out of it. It's just a thing that happens. And I think that
Yeah.
once you get that big release for a 2-3 game stretch, you're going to get that breath. Everyone's going to feel a little bit more centered. And I think some of this is going to have to be new blood coming in.
Yeah,
It's
I
time
mean,
for Jerry and Justin to go out there and make something happen.
they have to.
I heard the rumors, this hasn't really started how we want. Well, we know that Garrett Crochet's going. We know that Luis Roberts going. We know that Jazz Chisholm's going. Those are guys that will be traded. You look at the Nationals, Lane Thomas, some of these relievers. Some of these guys will be on the move.
Yeah,
So you got to strike.
like they should have made a move a month ago. They should have.
The
Like,
tough thing with the month ago is, besides the Athletics and Angels, who are in your division, who
yep,
are historically tough. I don't think the Angels are ever going to make a deal, Jerry, to put it. Let's be real about that. They've done
probably
a little bit
not.
of stuff with Oakland, but when you look, the White Sox were really the only other team that were completely floundering and kind of out of it. When you looked at the National League, all you had was the Marlins and the Rockies. Everyone else is in kind of the Nationals now. Everyone else kind of bunched up within a couple games of playoff contention. That's what that third wild card spot does, is it breeds hope. So you don't want
Right,
to sell off guys too early, because you never know when you win 5 or 6 and you're right back in the thick of things. And that's
right.
why
And
if they
you and I
don't
have,
make a move, you're one game out of first place. You have a World Series contending starting staff,
yes,
which 2 of those guys are going to get bumped in the playoffs to be in bullpen arms. So you're going to get multiple innings out of Brian Wu, Bryce Miller, and hell, even Emerson Hancock's dealing down in AAA. You might bring him up for a playoff run. Like,
yeah,
if all those guys are here, that staff is bonkers. It's top 3 staff in the major
and
leagues.
and that's where it also comes from, right? Is you do have this staff you can go win a World Series with. Well, get your offense right, because yes, they've struggled all year. They need new faces. They need to know that things can be shaken up just like that, because they are a game out, right? You want to be more ahead
You want to
than
be more proactive than reactive.
right, because I don't know about you, I want to, increase the lead, not fight and claw our way back. There's no way that they make a wild card spot. There's just no way, because this division is terrible.
No. And it's just tough to sit in losing or mediocrity or just good enough to make the playoffs. Like, this
It was a
team has
short
been
window right
around
now.
for damn near 50 years.
Yeah.
Like, there are some people that were kids, young adults, that are no longer with us, that never got to see them even play in a World Series.
Yeah.
Right? It's so frustrating. And yeah, there's been teams that had the long droughts, but they at least made it into. They were consistent. Even when the Red Sox, when it took them for 100 years, or the Cubs 100 years, they still had great teams that went deep in the playoffs. I'd rather be more frustrated because I lost in the division series or the World Series and feel that heartache than feel the frustration of. There's times where this offense is not even watchable. Like, I've been watching
They don't look
this and it's
serious.
tough.
I watch every game. I watch every game, and they just don't look like they want to be there. I get it. It's not fun when you're sliding like this, right? It's not fun at all. I was a guy in high school that struck out a lot. Trust me, I know. It sucks. Ask coach. He threw me 3 straight curveballs because he knew I would swing at it.
That's just good coaching.
Yeah. So, when your guys are so predictable, Mitch Garver, for instance, right? He's gonna watch two right down the middle. He will watch 2 pitches, 2 fastballs, right down the middle. And then he'll swing at a slider or a slurve that's 3 feet out of the zone. It's so predictable. These guys are so easy to throw to. You throw Julio high and inside, he's not going to swing or hit it. He's just not.
Yeah. I think with this team is everyone's playing pretty tight. I think except for the starting staff who still has their swagger, because I think it was kind of like what Gossman said for the Jays. Hey, right now, if we don't go out and do our job, we're probably not going to win the game. And I feel like our starting staff thrives off of that a little bit. Those
Right.
guys are bulldogs, man. When you look at Gilbert and Jess when he goes into Walter mode, when you got Furious George, Luis Castillo, even though he's had some chinks in the armor, like he's a guy that still goes out and wears it. Bryce Miller just is yearning to be the stud that he thinks he is, right? And Wu at times is damn near unhittable. So
Yeah.
you look at that complement of guys, and that's what you build off of. Like when you decided to trade Edwin Diaz to get out of the Cano contract, when you decided not to re-sign Nelson Cruz, when you decided to let Felix walk, you said we are taking a step back. We're going to rebuild this really bad farm system. We're going to make a push. And, 2021 is kind of where we see us being able to take it on. And 2021 was close. 2022, they make the playoffs. You expect them, okay, we've got the pieces in place. We made the deal for Luis Castillo. We've got a young budding superstar in Julio Rodriguez. Let's find a few more pieces. And they thought they did that. They thought they had enough and
Right.
could ride off of that.
I mean,
Obviously wasn't the case. And this year in it's the money thing, because when you look at it, you have outside of Luis Castillo, every other pitcher you have is
yeah.
beyond affordable for what they do. And to run out this crop of hitters and how they've been performing and not have those guys in the reserves. Your top reserves right now are Cade Marlowe, who was a rookie last year. I like what he puts on tape, but he strikes out a ton. Jonathan Class A, who's torn up the minor leagues but hasn't really shown anything in the majors. Tyler Locklear, the guy that was drafted 2 years ago and is sitting there running a high K rate, right? These are the guys that you have in the system to come up. Your perennial studs, the guys that are dominating the top 100 lists, are 1-2 years out. So what do? Do you wait for them and say, okay, we're going to push it back to 26, maybe 27? Well, guess what?
You're not going to
Either
have Logan Gilbert. You're
either
not going to
George
have.
or Logan's gone. Luis Castillo's gone. You're coming up on Wu and Miller being gone. At that point, you might have already traded Emerson Hancock. He could be gone. Like,
And then, they're talking about Ryan Sloan maybe being a late 2026 guy, being
the
on the
dude
big
just got out of high
squad.
school. He's not
Yeah.
gonna be that. It's gonna be your guy, your first round draft pick, switch pitcher. I can't say his name yet. I'm gonna have to hear
It's
him play a little bit more. But
Yeah, but I don't think they're gonna keep him a switch pitcher. They can't.
they
They
can.
I just don't think
The
so.
dude throws over 90 from both sides. They're going to prioritize the right side because his stuff is dominant. But you're telling me he's not still going to run out there with that glove? And when you've got Juan Soto up there, you'd prefer to go right on left instead of left on left at 93 from the left side with still a devastating slide piece. Yeah, I'm going to go ahead and take that.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see. But yeah, you're right. We're not going to have these guys unless Stanton goes, all right, open checkbook. Here you go.
Oh, we did forget to say the Mariners did make an appearance at the All-Star game. There was something that happened. Hot dogs from heaven, baby. Woo. Mariner
Yeah.
Moose throwing out some dogs, throwing some glizzies down in Arlington. That's the
But
highlight of the Mariners. Might be the highlight of the Mariners season right now at the All Star game right there.
yeah, so back to my original question. Do you think Scott finishes the season?
It's tough to say because you're already down a coach and your hitting coach that you brought. You get Scott
Yeah.
off this team. Your your two options that I think would be the most logical. One would be Manny Acta, who has managerial experience before in the majors. Probably your top guy would be Chris Negron because the guy coached like 2 years in the minors. Like, we got to get him on the major league staff. Woodward's still one of the best pitching coaches out there, but I don't think that you take him away from that pitching staff. I think that it would not be the best thing at this point in time. Do I think it could happen? Yeah, I think it could happen. Do I think it should happen? No, I don't think it should happen because you look at Scott has coached some of these teams where they have hit the hell of the ball and they couldn't pitch. They didn't have the right players. Go get them the tools to be
Yeah,
successful.
that's true. And I hope that there is a move before they land in Chicago. I think there needs to be a move.
There's not going to
Um,
be, I don't think.
I think you make the ultimate push for Jazz Chisholm and somebody else. Maybe you get the national guys.
I think that you need one of the big
Well,
guys. You need a
I'm
bopper.
saying I'm
And you need,
saying you can get all of them. I mean,
I
they
think that
have
you would
the
do a
depth.
big push.
Yeah, they have to. They literally have to because also with you saying about the pitchers, they're probably not going to have Cal for long either. I mean, he is the glue to this team.
I think that they're going to figure out a way to keep Cal here. I
I
think
hope
that
so.
the one thing I feel with Cal, I'm not sure if I said it on here or not, but I think that Cal is the type of guy that you see what he does for this team. You can't see the frustration that he can sometimes have. But I think this is a guy that if he wants to be GOAT status, if you will,
Yeah,
and if
of
he is part
course.
of the core that wins the first World Series, welcome to GOAT status, baby, because it's going to be centered
Immortalized,
offensively
dude.
around like the if you're talking about offensive pieces and all the guys that are part of that World Series run might not be on this team, but if they do it in Cal's tenure, it's going to be Cal, Julio, and someone else, right? That are the key factors. And Cal's going to go down as more beloved than Dan Wilson.
Yeah, of
I think
course.
he's on the precipice right now
He
because I
ended the
can't stand
drought.
Dan Wilson's analysis. Like, he's really soured my taste by getting on the mic of old Dan the man. But I think he's that type of guy that wants to sit there. He's coach's kid. He knows the game. I think that he's learned a lot from service being a former catcher. And I think that going forward that it would behoove the Mariners because of how well he does with the staff, and you've seen
Oh
that year
yeah.
in, year out, and the pop that he can provide. That guy, in the moments that he's clutched up in, he's the type of guy that you keep because he is a glue guy. And I think that that's one guy that I think they would overpay to keep.
I
That's
would
on
hope
this
so.
current team.
I would hope so. I really do. But I just hope he doesn't have Scott Boras coming in the offseason. So
Well, it's time to go to Chicago and hope that better things can happen.
I don't want to see Crochet. I just don't.
Yeah, I hope he gets traded before.
I don't want to see
I
him.
don't know if we're lined up with him. I didn't look at the matchups, but
Or
if we
Fetty.
are, I hope that he gets traded to the Orioles before
I
then.
don't want to see Fetty either.
You know what? I just want the Mariners to just have fun because
I do
it looks
too.
like they're playing so tight. It looks like they are marionettes, but but not the marionettes that have the hanging arms, the ones that you got like the puppet with the popsicle stick up their keister.
Yeah.
Because that's how they're playing. It's too tight. They got to get a little bit of loose. And that's the toughest thing because when you're sitting there mired in some losing, if you try to have fun, some people in the clubhouse will look at it per se like you're disrespecting the game, like, and it's got to come from the youth, and that's what we really saw a couple years back was that youth movement. Kelnick, Julio, Cal, JP kind of coming into his own a little bit. Those younger type guys where, hey, you haven't done it before, but who cares? You're here. Let's do it. Let's just do the damn thing. And I think you need a little bit more of that because those guys got the taste. They seem a little bit more beyond their years in the bigs. I think that has it served them well in some cases? Sure. But you've lost that little bit of just young and having fun because the
Yeah.
fun's gone right now. And everyone knows it. And there's really no way to get out of it
I mean, they're
except to
getting
win.
booed off the field, dude. They are getting booed off the field in front of packed stadiums.
It's
That's
rough.
nuts. I mean, you dropped 10 games in a month and a half in a bad division.
It's bad.
Yeah.
I'm hoping this is rock bottom, but only time will tell. Only time will tell.
Yes, sir. I don't think I got anything else.
Well, if you don't got anything else right now, you could just save it for social media. And that's where
It's
you can
true.
find us. You can find me, your boy, Coach Red, on X, The Real Coach Red, on Instagram at The Real _ Coach Red, TikTok at The Real Coach Red. Also, find the show over on YouTube. Search Kicking It with Coach Red. Like, subscribe, hit the bell notifications, leave a comment or two. Kane, where you at?
Find me over on Twitter at Kane2406, TikTok Kane0624. Also follow the show's socials over on Twitter and Instagram at Coach Red Pod. Follow us. Do it, freaking do it.
And as always, stay fresh.
Stay fresh, peeps.
Peace.